welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Taylor and today I'll be doing my August monthly reading wrap up. But before we hop into the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you love all things books. So starting out with some monthly reading stats. So for the month of August, I read 8 books on my Kindle and 2 books physically. My number one reading mood was emotional, according to StoryGraph. And I mostly read medium-paced books, so, you know, as per usual. And I had pretty much a split between less than 300 and, like, between 300 and 499 page books. And I read 1 nonfiction, 9 fiction, and pretty much mostly read just romance or contemporary romance. So, yeah, and I had 1 5-star, 1 no rating, and then everything else fell between the 4 and 4.75 star category. So yeah. Oh, I also hit my 50 book reading goal for the year. I'm not adjusting it on StoryGraph just because I hit my goal and I'm going to keep it at that. But I'm going to say I'm going to attempt to hit 75 next is what my plans are. So now, without further ado, let's hop into the first book I read in the month of August. For the first book I finished in August, I finished out the Beyond the Play series by Grace Riley with the 3rd book, Stealing Home. This isn't the final book, but it's the final book that is currently out. And this is a sports romance, aka baseball romance, that follows Sebastian, the 3rd brother in the Callahan brothers series, as he's trying to win over his previous fling and sort of like reverse Grumpy Sunshine, aka she's got the Grumpy Sunshine, Mia. So yeah, obviously tropes, reverse Grumpy Sunshine. Obviously he's like a cinnamon roll kind of boy. I will say trigger warning for loss of loved ones in this one, as well as biphobia. I found this book to be good. I ended up giving it like 4 stars. So my problem with the Beyond the Play series, which really isn't much of a problem, is that the first book, it was around 300, I think it's 309 pages. And then both books successively after that are like over 400 pages. And to me, it takes a lot for me to really like a romance book if it's over 350 pages. Because at that point, either it's just a lot of extra spice scenes, too much slow burn, or just a lot of like extraneous information. And on this one, I felt like it took a while to get to a resolution. But yeah, if you're into this, it has a bisexual female main character, as well as like a cinnamon roll golden retriever male main character. So the second book I read this month was a historical fantasy romance, Divine Rivals, as it's been blowing up on the internet. This book follows rivals or work rivals, Roman and Iris, as they are competing for the same job position at a newspaper. However, you kind of see their relationship grow throughout the story from, you know, rivals to friends to lovers. And yeah, it does have a fantasy element in which is taking place during a war between gods. So that kind of plays a bit into how I rated this. But this is the first part, and I believe a duology. So I ended up giving this 4 stars. So 4 stars, still good rating. The prose was absolutely beautiful. So I'm curious to see how Rebecca Ross's other books like read, because it was beautiful. The romance was sweet, it's cute, it's a young adult. There was a smidgen of spice mentioned if you're curious. Nothing particularly over the top. But the main reason it got 4 stars and not 5 stars is that when it comes to fantasy, and when it comes to a lot of books, it's just like particularly fantasy, I'm looking for more intrigue and action and like higher stakes. And not to say there weren't some high stakes in here, because there are some like emotional and like, I guess say traumatic moments. I just felt like it was read a little too much like cozy for my preference. But if you like this, like I said, it's rivals to lovers. It's a little bit like cozy fantasy. So the 3rd book I read this month was just like a short like erotica novella, which was Monsters and Tentacles 1 by Melanie Nix. And it's just a collection of 3 short erotic novellas. I ended up giving this 4 stars. I'm not above giving a novella or a collection of novellas 5 stars, but when it comes to these types of things, I don't always go above 4 stars. But it was good if that's what you're looking for. It's there. It also has the prequel novel to her Amityville series in here, if you're looking for that. The next book I read physically, and this is Jay's Gay Agenda by Jason June. So this follows Jay, who's moving out of his very small town where he is the only gay boy into the big city of Seattle, where he is first encountering gay relationships and a queer community. And he has this gay agenda that he would like to knock off that include a bunch of different queer firsts, such as first kiss, first date, first time in general. This is young adult, but I will say it does have some on-page spice. A little bit more closed door, but if you're looking for something a little more spicy in that genre, this is it. I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. I wasn't feeling 5-star feels, but I definitely was feeling all sorts of like cuteness and funness. As someone who came out like in her 20s, it definitely is interesting to read like those first queer experiences. If you've watched Heartstopper in that scene where like Mr. Farouk's like, you know, you kind of miss out of those young, like beautiful young gay experiences when you don't come out into your 20s. So I thought this was a good one to look at. And this one, I don't know really what tropes you could talk about other than just like first love, nerdy boy, so nerdy love interest. And Jay is a list maker, so if you love lists, there's a bunch of lists that take place in here. Oh, gamer boy, lover boy. So one of the love interests is a gamer. There is instance/mention of cheating in here if you do not like that. So the next book I read was the third in the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher, Wrecked, and this month I did finish the Dirty Air series, so hitting some reading goals for the year. But yeah, this third book follows Jax and Elena. So Jax is the bad boy who needs his reputation fixed up, and Elena is called in to do that. So we have a little bit of like frenemies to lovers in this one. I will say trigger warning for loss of loved ones as well as genetic disease. I'll say that. That might have been a spoiler, but I'll put it in there. I ended up giving this one 4.75 stars. I did cry while reading this book, but I can't give it 5 stars in the sense that I don't know if I was crying because of my general circumstance in life at that moment or if it was actually the writing that was making me cry. But this one definitely takes a little bit of a sadder, more emotional turn, if that's what you're looking for. This one is a little bit longer. It says it's over 500 pages on StoryGraph. I don't know if that's true, but yeah, definitely enjoyed it. It's not my favorite in the series. You'll see what my favorite is in 1 second, but yeah, if you like the grumpy sunshine, the rivals to lovers, this book is for you. So the next book I read was the 4th and final book in the Dirty Air series, Redeemed, and I was excited to get to this one because I feel like everyone says that this is the best book in the series, and it is my favorite book in the series. So this 4th book follows Santiago Alatorre and Chloe as they kind of have an interesting meet cute and where Chloe kind of falls into Santiago's backyard and they start an interesting fake dating relationship. I will say this one, trigger warning for alcoholism and parental abuse, as well as mentions of loss of loved ones. So yeah, there's a lot more heavy topics in this one, but Santiago Alatorre was just truly like my new book boyfriend. He is the best. He's the absolute sweetest, and his relationship with Chloe just develops in the most beautiful way. And even that third act conflict, breakup, if you can call it a breakup, I felt was like something that I could realistically see happen. Not saying everything in this book is a realistic portrayal of things that happen in life, but I could see it happening. So yeah. So if you like, I don't know what you could call tropes in this. Oh, scarred hero trope definitely is the main one here. So yeah. Oh, I did give it 5 stars. That is my 5-star for the month. Then I did read another Melanie Nix like monster novella that this one's a little bit longer than the last one, and it's called Seduced by the Pumpkin King. I kind of wanted something spicy and Halloween themed since we're slowly inching our way towards fall season, aka the day I'm filming this is September 1st. So we are in fall season in my opinion, and I gave this 4.5 stars. Thought it was good. Then I read another TikTok famous romance or TikTok famous story right now, and that is Done and Dusted, which is the first book in a romance series, but it's the only book currently out, and it's by Lila Sage. So this book follows Emmy Ryder after she returns to her small town of Meadowlark after a horse riding accident, and while she is there, she starts to notice some interesting things about her childhood rival, Luke Brooks, and vice versa. So yeah, I ended up giving this 4 stars. So when it comes to cowboy romance, this is the only one I've read, so I don't know. I kind of want to get to the Chestnut Springs series, and maybe I'll hit that this month. But as someone who grew up in the South, and I may not say I grew up around a lot of cowboys, I can just say having experienced this kind of Western style man really turns me off whenever I read it. I mean, I still gave it 4 stars, so overall it was a good book. It was a short book, it's under 300 pages, so if you're looking for that, there's that. But truly, the reason I got 4 stars is because I just kind of felt a little indifferent towards the romance at it. There was nothing calling my name by the time I was finished with it. So maybe, who knows, maybe the Chestnut Springs series will call my name. But yeah. So this is childhood, like, rivals slash friend, like frenemies to lovers, and it is brother's best friend if you're looking for that. Also, Western cowboy romance, like I stated. Book series. Now, I'm not going to really like talk about the events that take place in this because it's the third book in like a bind up of novellas, and I'm kind of just reading them sporadically throughout the year. But the whole general premise of the Mindfuck series is that a female serial killer who is going after all the men in the town that wronged her in her past suddenly, somehow, for some reason, falls for the FBI profiler on her case. And I'm giving the third book 4.75 stars. I've given either 4.75 or 5 stars to the first 3 books in the Mindfuck series. I have a feeling it's going to be a 5-star series overall. I will say trigger warning for graphic explanations of essay, obviously, and murder on the page. So if you don't like that, do not read it. But overall, I love it. It's fast-paced. It's fun. It's definitely interesting to read. If you're looking for a cool kind of sexy thriller, this is it. I will say it's labeled as erotica, but it's definitely a lot less spicy than majority of the books I read. So don't let that like push you away if you're thinking that's what it is. Lastly, the final book I read, which I technically finished this morning, so I technically finished in September, but I just put it as I finished it yesterday because I only like read 10 pages this morning, was my nonfiction, which is the Sociology Book, or the Big Book of Ideas on Sociology. And I'm just trying to make it through my nonfiction literature section. I have a lot of like academic style nonfiction because I work for a school. I plan on becoming a professor, so I like having a diverse set of like academic novels, books. And yeah, I didn't rate this. I usually don't rate nonfiction unless it's particularly in a major area of like, or in my major area, which is like fashion and marketing and like digital marketing, beauty, all that stuff. I'll usually rate that because I have more knowledge and understanding of that. But I sort of just read this because I like having it. I help people with a lot of research and diverse research topics, so I like having understanding of diverse concepts. So if you like it and you want to have something like academically related in your collection of nonfiction, it's a nice book, has a lot of pictures and a lot of graphs to help explain things. So that was every book that I read in the month of August. I'm not particularly sure where I'm planning on taking my reading in September, since it is the start of fall season for me. That does gear my genre preferences a little more towards thrilling and fantasy style reads. I mean, I'll probably still read a lot of romance. But yeah, let me know if you liked or want to read any of the books that I mentioned here, or if you have any book recommendations for me in the comments down below.